Welcome to Design to Thrive with Dr. Brooke. I'm Dr. Brooke, your podcast host. In this space, we share wisdom for women and legacy for daughters by sharing conversations around health and life, family and faith through a nervous system lens, embodied living, and God-designed rhythms. In today's episode, just like last week's episode, we are diving into a recording that I made when I was first deciding to launch this podcast. I chose to go in a slightly different direction when I first launched and started with the lessons from my healing journey from thyroid cancer. And we're going to continue that conversation in future episodes. But I really felt like it was important for me to share these videos that I had recorded in the early stages because they speak to the mindset that I had in those first few weeks, and some of the inspiration that I had. So I really hope that you enjoyed last week's podcast as well as today's. Today, we're going to be talking about taking messy action, taking imperfect, messy action when you are inspired to do it, because done is better than perfect. And that is one of the lessons that I have leaned into in different seasons of my life. Even when I have a upbringing and personality that tends towards perfectionism, I am slowly but surely learning that done is better than perfect and that taking action creates momentum. And the more that you do that, the more that you can lean into your gifts, your inspiration, your mission, vision, and purpose in life. So let's get into the episode. I hope you like it. When I was challenged to create this video series, my mentor, Dr. Alok Trivedi, really inspired me. And he said, "You love to teach, so go and teach. Be in the things that inspire you and that you love to do." And a couple days later, I was in the shower and ideas were flowing. And this was one of the topics that I knew needed to be toward the beginning of this video series. I finally sat down and I recorded an intro video to my YouTube channel, and I recorded an intro video to this specific series. I'm now recording this video. And in all three videos, I have the same outfit on because I'm recording them back to back. Now, the perfectionist in me would say, no, you should just wait to record the next video until you have a different outfit on. And I actually set out a shirt to bring with to have a different outfit, but then I forgot it at home. So here I am taking imperfect action because done is better than perfect. And I will admit that this is actually take two. I already recorded a video and it went well. And then I was like, oh, but there's so much more. I tend to do my best when I just speak off the cuff. When I try to go off a script, it never comes out the same way, and it usually doesn't flow as well as when I just let it flow. But I just felt like there was so much more that I could get out of this topic. So one of my mentors was the first person who ever said to me, done is better than perfect. And his name is Dr. Sean Dill. He was a mentor of mine a few years ago. And that topic really stuck with me because I definitely lean towards perfectionistic tendencies. Case in point, second recording of this video. I also grew up with a mother who is a self-proclaimed perfectionist. Love you, Mom, but you know it's true. So one of the things that I see in women is this never-ending need to please. And this actually stems from a part of our nervous system. There are different defaults of our nervous system when we are in a state of stress. And one of those defaults is called fawning or fitting in. And those are defaults of our social vagus, the part of our parasympathetic nervous system that controls our facial features. And basically, what happens is that if we do not feel safe in a community, if we are fearing that we might be shunned from a community, we will fawn, which is often saying yes when you want to say no, or we will try to fit in, which tends to be agreeing with the crowd instead of trying to stand out. And I think that when women show perfectionistic tendencies, it kind of lends itself toward that nervous system default of fawning or fitting in. But there are a couple other things that can happen when we attempt to live our life perfectly. Oftentimes we think we just need more clarity, we need more time, we need more confidence, we need more preparation. But really what is happening is that we are delaying obedience, we're delaying action, and we're delaying growth. Let that sink in. Every time you think that it has to be perfect, instead of taking action, you are delaying your own growth. So when you think it has to be perfect, that creates pressure. And then that pressure creates procrastination, avoidance, and even self doubt. But here's the thing, done creates momentum. Every time I have done something, every time I have taken action, before I was completely clear on it, before it was perfect, that was how I learned. That is how I grew. It actually reminds me of one of my language arts classes in college. And I was trying to write the final draft the first time around. So my perfectionism was really in the forefront. And my instructor was like, Brooke, you just need to write it messy. Just write. Don't think about the perfect words as you go. Don't edit as you go. It's going to take you so much longer to do it that way. Just write and then edit and then make it better. And I think that's a perfect analogy for how we are to live our lives. We may stumble. We may make mistakes. But those mistakes are how we learn and grow. That is how we become better wives, better mothers, better coworkers or friends. Your confidence also grows through repetition. So the more times you take action, even when it's messy, you first learn, then you get more confident. And the more that you wait, the more that you lose out on opportunity to learn and grow. Like my teacher said, the first version is not supposed to be the final version. So when I think about starting this series on YouTube, I knew that it had to be done is better than perfect. Now, here I am, second recording of this specific topic, and I took action and I'm taking action again. And it's a little better than the first one. It's a little bit more refined. I have a few talking points in an outline that I'm looking at from time to time to make sure that I hit the points and I'm not circling around the same little concept over and over again and kind of rambling in my speech. Yeah, it's a little bit better. I learned from the first time, and now this second video, it's even better. And I'm still taking action. When you think about the cost of perfection, we miss opportunities when we are trying to be perfect. We delay growth in our lives because the reality is that we'll never be perfect. There is one God who is perfect. He created us, but we are not fully perfection. There are mistakes and that's the perfection in it, is that we learn, we grow through our mistakes, through taking action, imperfect action. But we also put unnecessary stress and self-criticism and comparison. These are things that are the cost of perfectionism. And I'll also add that when we try to be perfect and we put out this facade of perfectionism, who are we helping? Who are we speaking life into and showing them that we let life be messy? What in your life Have you been trying to be perfect and then you're stuck, you're delayed, you're not actually making it happen, but you have this vision? Maybe you're wanting to write a book or start a podcast. Maybe you're waiting for the perfect time to start your family because it has to be a certain way. But I can attest that starting a business, you have to let it be messy. Being a parent is incredibly messy, and you continue to learn, you continue to grow. What done is better than perfect is not, it's not sloppy. It's not abandoning excellence. You're still taking action in a way that is aligned with your values, your mission, your vision, your purpose. Side note, those are some things that we'll talk about in future videos, like how to know what your values are, how to know what your mission in life is. Because when you take aligned action according to those things, it makes that done so much easier, so much more inspiring. When we talk about the comparison between excellence and perfectionism, we can delineate that excellence is healthy and perfectionism is heavy. Excellence says, I want to do this well, and perfectionism says, I will only do this if it is flawless. I will not publish if it's not perfect. But it's that way of thinking that keeps you stuck. One of the things that I think is super clear from scripture is that God does not demand perfection from his followers. He wants a willing servant, someone who is ready to take action for. It's kind of interesting to think about God's creation is perfection, and we are part of creation. So there is a duality in we are perfect, we are designed to thrive, and also we are imperfect at the very same time. What would I change if women stopped waiting to be perfect before they spoke, before they started something, before they rested or healed or changed something? I want my daughters to learn that done is better than perfect. There may be an excellent way to do pretty much anything, but there are times where done is better than perfect. And I do not have to be that helicopter mother who hovers over my teenagers to make sure that they're doing it the way that I have expectations around. And maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you're having expectations of your spouse or your coworkers or your employees that you're expecting perfection from yourself and from them. And all that does is it creates chaos in your life and theirs. But what do we want our daughters to learn? What do we want them to believe? Do we want them to believe that they must perform perfectly to be worthy? That is not what God wants us to believe. What I hope is that we as women and our daughters know that they can begin and that they can learn and grow regardless of what it looks like. A few closing thoughts. Just start. Before you're ready, let it be messy. Choose progress over perfection. Choose progress over the pressure to be perfect. Ask yourself, what is the next best step? Do one simple thing that you have been delaying. And just remember, done is better than perfect because done gives life room to move. Thanks for being here today. And remember, you're designed to thrive.